This video talks about the various equations of lines, or the forms that equations of lines can come in, and then how do you know which equation or which form to use, and it's based on what information you're given. So there's three basic forms that we're going to talk about. The first one's called the standard form of a line, and it has an x term, a y term, and then some constant. And this is usually the easiest form if you want to find your x-intercept or your y-intercept. And the reason for that is because if there's an x-intercept, that's where it crosses the x-axis, then the y value is 0. And so it becomes pretty easy to solve for x. So you can find that point. Same thing with y, x is 0, and you can solve for the y point. The slope-intercept form is just like it sounds. It has a slope, which we use the letter m, and it has the y-intercept as b. So in this format, y is equal to mx plus b. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept, meaning where it crosses the y-axis. Point slope form is, again, is if you have a point, x1, y1, that falls on the line, and you have the slope of the line, and you want to write the equation, okay? So x1, y1 is the point, and m is the slope, and you want to find out the equation or write the equation of the line. So here's the various scenarios of given information. This is not all of the possibilities, but these are some of the common ones. So the first scenario is they give you the equation of a line, and they want you to find the slope, the y-intercept, and graph the line on a coordinate grid, okay? And so a coordinate grid, remember, is simply where you have an x number line, we call it the x-axis, that is horizontal, and a y number line, we call it the y-axis, and it's vertical. Okay, so how are you going to find the slope and the y-intercept and graph it based on this information? Well, this is the standard form of the equation, okay? And so that's what they gave you. So the first thing you want to do in order to find the slope is go ahead and rearrange it into the slope-intercept form, because then that means whatever is in front of the x is going to be your slope. So to rearrange it, basically it's the same thing as solving for y. So here we subtract 3x from both sides. Now we have y isolated, and so that means that negative 3 is what's in front of x, so our slope is negative 3 because we have it in that format. The y-intercept is going to be your b value, so that means that it's going to intersect the y-axis at the number 6 on the y number line, which is the point 0.06. So how do we graph the line? Well, we have a point, so we're going to start with the point, and then we'll use the slope. So the point is at 0.6, the y-intercept, so we start at the origin, and we go 0 left or right, and then 6 up. So when we count 6 up, this is our point. Then we're going to use the slope to draw the actual line, because all we have at this point is just a point. And so the slope is rise over run, so it's negative 3, and you can rewrite it as a fraction. It helps sometimes. So negative 3 over 1 means we're going to go 3 down and 1 to the right. Okay, so we'll go 1, 2, 3 down and 1 to the right. 1, 2, 3 down and 1 to the right. 1, 2, 3 down and 1 to the right. 1, 2, 3 down and 1 to the right. Now, we don't actually need that many points. We only need 2 points to draw a line through, but I was just confirming that that's actually, those are all the points, or all of those points would land on the line. So once you have your y-intercept and at least one other point using the slope, then you can go ahead and use a straight edge and draw a line through those points. So what were we given? We were given an equation. We wanted to find the slope, so we rearranged it into slope-intercept format. We wanted to find the y-intercept, and that became the b value. This is the y-intercept, this is the slope when it's in this format. And then to plot it, you start with the point, and then we use your rise run from your slope, rise over run, to plot another point, and then you draw the straight line. Okay, so what if that's not the case? What if well, here's another scenario, sorry. Okay, so the next scenario, again, they give you the equation of the line, and they want you to tell me the slope, the y-intercept, and plot the line on a coordinate grid. Well, since this is already in slope-intercept format, the slope is simply the number right in front of x, so the slope is a positive 5. The y-intercept is the b value, negative 3. The point of the y-intercept is written as 0.3 because there's no x, the x is at 0 and the y is at negative 3. So we start at the point just like we did on the last one. We start at the origin and we go down 3, because that's where this y-intercept is. And then we use our slope, and we're going to rewrite it as a rise over run as a fraction. And so it's going to be 5 is the rise, so positive 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then run is 1, because we can rewrite the slope as 5 over 1. Now that we have 2 points, we use a straight edge, and we draw a line through those points, connecting those points, and that would be your graph. Okay, so here's another scenario. What if they tell you that they give you a point and the slope, and they want you to write the equation of a line? Unless they tell you differently, if they ask you to write the equation of a line, it's in the slope-intercept format. So that means you need to get it into this format. So here we have a slope of 4, and here we have a point. Now, remember we have various forms of the equation. So I wouldn't use this one. I wouldn't use this one. I would use this one because we have a point and we have a slope, and we can just plug it right into this equation. All right, so y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Okay, and again, this format is just here to help us solve or write the equation of the line. So slope is 4, so that means m is 4, and it's through this point. This is x1, and this is y1. So x1 is negative 1, and y1 is 3, okay, because we have this point. All right, so we just plug in each of the numbers into this format. So y minus y1 is 3. Oops. Okay. And then your slope is 4, and x minus x1 is negative 1. All right, now we're just going to simplify it like normal, distribute. Isolate the y. Okay, so what was the equation, or what was the question? It said, given this point, or this slope and this point, write the equation of the line in the y is equal to mx plus b format. That's your answer. Okay, so let's look at the next one. We're given a slope, we're given the y-intercept this time, and we want to write the equation of a line in y is equal to mx plus b format. Well, we have m, and we actually have b. So this one is pretty straightforward because we can just plug in negative 5 for m and negative 7 for b. So it's y is equal to negative 5x minus 7, and that is the answer to this one because they actually just gave you the m and the b. All right, let's talk about another scenario. Okay. All right, what if they tell you to write the equation of a line in y is equal to mx plus b format or slope-intercept format, but they give you 2 points on the line? Okay, so in this case, you don't have slope, you don't have intercept, but what you can do is solve for slope, because there's a formula for slope that says if you have the change in y's over the change in x's, you can calculate slope if you have 2 points. Well, we have 2 points. So we can go ahead and calculate. Now, it doesn't matter if this is x1, y1, and this is x2, y2. You can make this x1, y1, and this x2, y2. It doesn't really matter. I just do the 1 on the left and the 2 on the right because it seems to make sense. All right, so negative 6 minus a negative 1 over negative 1 minus a negative 2. There's an extra parentheses, okay? So basically, we're putting the y's in the numerator. The y's are in the numerator, and the x's are in the denominator. Okay, so then we simplify. We got a bunch of negatives here. Okay, so we get a slope of negative 5. That helps us. We're still trying to write the equation of the line in y is equal to mx plus b format. Well, we have the m, but we don't have the b. But we found out before that if we use that other slope, point slope form, okay, if we have a slope and we have a point, we can use this form of the equation and then rearrange to solve for y. Well, sure, we have a point. We actually have 2 points, and we have the slope. So it doesn't matter which one of these points you use. You can choose whichever one you want. I'm just going to choose this one because it's lower numbers. Okay, So y plus 1. Now I'm going to distribute. Okay, and we still want to solve for y. Remember, we're trying to reach this format, so we're trying to isolate y. Okay, so y is equal to negative 5x minus 11. All right, let's do another one. You try it, and then pause the video, and then come back and see if you got the right answer. Okay, here it is worked out. First you had to find the slope, then you plugged it into your y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1, which is the point slope format of the equation. We plugged it in, the point in there and the slope, and rearranged it. It's okay if the b ends up being 0, because it's okay to have a line cross the y-axis at 0. So it is okay to have a line that can cross right here at the origin. That's fine. Okay, and here is just a reminder of the different forms.